Our entire planet, with all its organisms and physical environments, is known as the Biosphere. Ecology is a scientific study of interactions among organisms and between organisms and their physical environment. It comes from the Greek word oikos, which means house, so ecology is a study of nature's houses and the organisms that live in those houses. Ecologists use the word environment to refer to all conditions or factors surrounding an organism. Environmental conditions include biotic factors and abiotic factors. The biological influences on organisms are called biotic factors. That means a biotic factor is any living part of the environment with which an organism might interact. Physical components of an ecosystem are called abiotic factors, meaning an abiotic factor is any non-living part of the environment, like water. Modern ecologists use three methods in ecological studies, which are observation, experimentation, and modeling. Observation is often the first step in asking ecological questions. Experimentation can be used to test hypotheses. Models help ecologists understand phenomena that happens over long periods of time or over large distances. Okay, but how do living things survive? Well, living systems operate by expending energy. Organisms need energy for growth, reproduction, and their own metabolic process. Only algae, certain bacteria, and plants can capture energy from sunlight or chemicals and convert it into forms that living cells can use. These organisms are called autotrophs. They store energy in forms and make it available to other organisms that eat them. That's why they are called primary producers, because they are the first producers of energy-rich compounds that are later used by other organisms. The best known and most common primary producers harness solar energy through the process of photosynthesis. Photosynthesis captures light energy and uses it to power chemical reactions that convert carbon dioxide and water into oxygen and energy-rich carbohydrates. But what about ecosystems where light doesn't penetrate, like deep ocean? They depend on primary producers that harness chemical energy from inorganic molecules such as hydrogen sulfide. This process is called chemosynthesis. And about the other animals, they must acquire energy from other organisms by ingesting them in one way or another. These animals are called heterotrophs. They are also called consumers because organisms that rely on other organisms for energy and nutrients are called that way. They are classified by the ways in which they acquire energy and nutrients. Carnivores kill and eat other animals. Herbivores obtain energy and nutrients by eating plant leaves, roots, seeds, or fruits. Scavengers are animals that consume the carcasses of other animals. Omnivores eat both plants and animals. Decomposers feed by chemically breaking down organic matter. Detritivores feed on detritus particles, often chewing or rending them into even smaller pieces. Energy flows through an ecosystem in a one-way stream from primary producers to various consumers. A food chain is a series of steps in which organisms transfer energy by eating and being eaten. In most ecosystems, feeding relationships are much more complicated than the relationship described in a single simple food chain. Ecologists call this network of feeding interactions a food web. Each step in a food chain or food web is called a trophic level. Ecological pyramids show the relative amount of energy or matter contained with each trophic level in a given food chain or food web. Pyramids of energy show the relative amount of energy available at each trophic level of a food chain or food web. A pyramid of biomass illustrates the relative amount of living organic matter available at each trophic level in an ecosystem. And the pyramid of numbers shows the relative amount of individual organisms at each trophic level in an ecosystem.